I just want to make sure I get this straight. You say women are offended by every joke you make and they report you to HR. So how about you tell us the fucking jokes that are getting reported, huh? Notice how you're not even giving us a hint of what you say that gets reported and you're only joking about it with the fucking guys. I wonder what these jokes are. You say women are offended by every single one of your jokes, but you're offended by a TikTok that frankly has nothing to do with you if you're not that type of person. And you're bringing up a comment in which I clarified that this is not about people who are just antisocial, people who just don't want to talk. It's about people who completely fucking ice you within our normal to everybody else. You guys are just completely fucking missing that because you think that conversation is a transactional thing and you think you have to get something out of it. But I don't fucking care about that. I care about what jokes are getting reported. Because I can guarantee you, if you're this offended over this, they have fucking good reason to report your ass.
But how does a man know? So it's basically, a man's not going to know that till we go through. So my thing is to men, stop. We need to, I keep saying it's 2023, right? And the reason I keep saying it is because it's very dangerous for us men as single men. We need to protect ourselves at all times. You saw what's happened with the Russell Brand scenario as well. Yeah. Like men, women need to outline it and make it intentions very, very, very clear to you. So a woman can look at you, she can smile at you, she can drop something, there's subtle things that you
body
women,
language,
yeah.
For example, indication, eye contact. There's a lot of things,
but a lot of guys don't know those things.
But you lean.
Yeah, they do. It's
okay, so you lean in a little bit, and I come the rest of the way.
Exactly.
But a lot of guys don't know those things. Hold on, that only comes from experienced men.
There's literal works of art available for women to download entitled "How to Destroy a Man Now." Guys, they say that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But in this case, it is men that are fed up and are making rational decisions in the workplace. What is it that we're talking about here today? Well, the Me Too movement is clearly backfiring on women in professional environments. And if you guys remember, the Me Too movement kicked off towards the end of 2017, most notably with the Harvey Weinstein case, where he was inevitably found guilty. Now, at the time, the movement was praised because it gave strength to a lot of women to report harassment that was happening in the workplace. But one of the talking points specifically within the male sector that they focused in on is the strength of this movement hyperbolic or exaggerated in comparison to what is actually happening in the workplaces today. And if there is an overcorrection, well, what would be the result of that overcorrection? Well, first I want to give you guys Exhibit A, and this tweet got over 2 million views on Twitter, and it says, "I was talking to a female friend and she was telling me how lonely it is for her to be working with only men in her team because they all maintain a respectful distance from her as they don't want to come off as creeps, not realizing it is completely isolating." And when I read this tweet, the first thing that I think of is that there's modern men today that are making rational decisions because they're putting their purpose or how they make money over shitting where they eat. The definition of shitting where you eat is shifted over time because it used to mean flirting with said person of the opposite sex. But in modern times today, men are avoiding contact and conversations with women because of the overcorrection that I spoke about previously. The irony being here is that the Me Too movement was put into place to help women, but it turns out the degree that women utilized it to weaponize interactions with men in the workplace seems to be hurting them just as much. 5 years removed since the beginning of the Me Too movement, it's clear to a degree that Me Too is backfiring on women today in professional settings because men that might be executives or senior managers are now refusing to engage with female staff. Now, some believe that this is just a knee-jerk reaction, while others are saying that these men are making rational decisions because the risk of being fired should an interaction go awry, or the risk of having harassment as a stamp on your invisible resume or on your track record is not worth talking.
A lot of these women with their feelings started posing a risk to men. And so men really, honestly, a lot of them are risk averse. And so I know a lot of you guys. So essentially what you try to do is you try to take your BS into the workplace, and men dodged and avoided it much like they do in dating. And so because of this, essentially what you have is men going to work, doing their job, and going straight home without much interaction with their female coworkers or their colleagues or female counterparts for fear of hashtag Me Too allegations. And it confuses ladies because they're asking, why don't men interact? You know, why don't men want to help with whatever projects we have going on? And so what you're starting to see is men are maintaining a higher level of professionalism, especially when it comes to women in modern society, so as to make sure that is no issues, no confusion, which, speaking of professionalism and confusion, today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle, takes all of the confusion out of being a professional. With belts crafted from high quality materials and thoughtful designs, Anson Belt and Buckle takes all of the thinking out of which belt you're going to wear. Is it going to look good? Will it hold my pants up? And all of the other things. These belts are high quality, easy. I'm going to repeat that to you. Easy to wear, easy to use. After you have these belts, after you purchase these belts, you're not going to want to go back to the normal, regular belt loops. These guys are family owned, been doing it since 2009, and have completely reinvented how belts should work. So instead of those holes that you have on your belt, I know I have them on mine that have been there for a long time. Anson uses this micro adjustable track system with they're like a 1/4 inch increments. So the belt is going to fit perfectly every time. That's what I love about it. You don't have to guess. It fits every single time. And because you have this micro adjustable track system, it's going to give you that perfect fit every single time. And trust me, after you try one of these belts, you're not going to want to go back to the belt that you had before. And one of the biggest things for me is you can mix and match any buckle with any strap. So you're always going to have that belt that's going to match your outfit perfectly without having to go out there and buy dozens of belts that are going to clutter up your closet like me, right? Ever since receiving these belts, I have about 10 or 15, and I'm not joking with you, 10 or 15 belts in there that I can remove because, like I said, you can mix and match belt buckles and straps to get different combinations. And another thing that I would add is it's not just about, oh, I look good. It's not just about style. It's about feeling more comfortable, confident. I would say confident, and just an overall sense of feeling more polished in what you wear. You know what I mean? Anson's belts adjust. They adjust with you throughout the day. So whether you might be standing a lot, you might be sitting, or you might be on the move, whatever you're doing, you're always comfortable, and then you always look sharp doing that. Once you try this thing, trust me, you will not go back to your old belt. For what? The thing is obsolete. Why would you try to struggle and twist and turn when this thing click and you're going on about your day? And if you're like me, I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of stuff, but these guys are family owned and operated. And when I look at the reviews, I think they have somewhere around 40,000 plus 5-star reviews. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, family owned, been in business since 2009. It makes me trust that they're going to do me right. And because Anson Belt and Buckle is sponsoring today's video, when you click the link in the description or scan the QR code to build a box set, you'll get 2 bonus pieces, a buckle and a strap, completely free. That's 3 buckles and 3 straps, which can be mixed and matched into 9 unique belt combos, all in one box. It's an exclusive deal you won't get anywhere else. So click the link, build your set, and upgrade your belt game today.
Whatever happened to men going up to women? Whatever happened to it? We want that. Bring that back. Can we bring that back? Can we start a movement to just like approach the person that you think is cute? Because that's what's lacking nowadays. Okay, people are missing opportunities from left to right. You could have met your soulmate. Okay, that could have been your soulmate right there. But instead you're like, yeah, I'm good.
Anger I get from making eye contact with a man is like so ridiculous sometimes. Look at the hives I just got
literally just from making eye contact with a man. I literally feel so disgusted. I feel like don't look at me.
Let me tell you why men don't come up to women anymore. These videos are the prime example of why women have spent the last 50 years, and we have 2 generations of men now that have been raised and been told that that's disgusting behavior. Women don't want that. Me Too movement happened. Men got canceled a lot of times for things that really weren't anything, but they got canceled anyway. And so after all that time, after being canceled, men have learned it's not worth pursuing. It's not worth chasing. It's not worth approaching a woman. And it doesn't matter how many videos you post about wanting this, it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because men don't know which side of the equation they're going to get. Are they going to get the woman that reciprocates and appreciates a man being forward and coming up to him? Or are they going to get the woman that even eye contact grosses her out and makes her rage? We don't know. And so because we don't know, because there's too much at risk, because social media exists and women readily post and blast men on social media, men simply aren't going to do it. So women, I say this a lot. If you see a man that you like, you're going to have to approach him and make it known that you are approachable, that you want that, and then let him make the move. But you're going to have to make the first move. And I know that sucks, but that's just the society that we're in. Whether you like it or not, you created it, women. Men didn't create this.
Part 4. And I will leave it at part 4 unless y'all want me to continue. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it at part 4. I'm going to say this, that men have a right to their feelings, and this is how they feel, ladies. Let's get it started. Y'all are too naked, too scantily dressed out in public. They don't like the fake hair and the extended lashes. That's been an ongoing conversation. They hate lace front wigs. They hate it. Y'all are not fun to be around. Someone said, why even date when you can get everything for free, expecting everything, offering nothing, too many attitudes? I agree. Always needing approval from your friends, from y'all friends, very unapproachable. I can also agree. Say you want good men, but constantly pick the opposite. I agree. Always seeking validation and attention from social media. I can go on.
Club culture died once y'all started treating the women like men. Why are we paying $40 to get in? Why are we paying the same amount as men? Then y'all say we're free before 10 p.m. Okay, cool. We all get online. We waiting for 10 p.m. for the club to open. Y'all don't open the doors until 10:30. Now we cold. Then we get to the door. Y'all say it's $20. Cool. I'll give you a $20. But wait, we don't have no heels. Now it's $40. Now we gotta pay $40 because we don't got heels on. All right, cool. I'll pay the $40. Now let's say you do have heels. Thank God, because I was waiting 30 minutes in the cold to get in the club and I got some heels on. At least I saved myself some $20. You get in. There's no sections available. There's nowhere for you to sit down. Why? The men are in the sections. 10, 20, 30 men deep in the section.
No, they just don't care. Once I texted a guy saying I'm upset, and he didn't even call me. He just texted me back like an hour later, like, ha, 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 why? And then I was like, never mind. And then he was like, oh, come on. And that's it. And then I didn't answer that. And then that's the last time we spoke. And I was like, that is so, that's so awesome. That is so awesome. I wish I had that ability because I mean, I have lost sleep because I answered someone's DM like 2 hours late and I felt bad. It was spam, but I felt really poorly.
Running to your friends crying, oh my God, he's so mean and so toxic and abusive. That's one of the most lowest and evil forms of manipulation ever. You don't get to disrespect him every day, belittle him when he opens up, emasculate him for not being what you can't handle, ignore his needs, flirt with other men in his face, and use sex like a weapon. And then act shocked when he finally blows up or walks away. He didn't just turn into an overnight. You drained him. You chipped away at his patience until nothing was left. You trained the nice guy you met to stop carrying good men don't wake up cold. They get turned cold by women who mistake his self-control for weakness. Then when he finally says enough is enough, you play victim and cry wolf. No, honey, you're not the victim. You are the arsonist crying about the fire that you just started. Grow up. So stop acting like you don't know what just happened. You know exactly what you did. You just never thought he would actually walk away. Now he's gone. Or worse, you've numbed him. And now you're on social media talking about how all the good ones turn bad. No, again, honey, you burned him out. One disrespectful act at a time. Own it. Or keep pretending you don't know why every man after him stops trusting women like you.
You know, just listening to somebody say using sex as a weapon is crazy. And the fact that a lot of modern women would go out here and they would justify them doing that. I mean, and then expect the man to keep on working in order to provide the lifestyle that she wants. Just really unbothered. Like it don't even seem like they even thought twice about it. Like, oh yeah, I'm withholding the thing that he wants most, but he's still out there, you know, trying to win back my affection by working and buying me things, and he's really trying to do all that he can to reconnect with me, but I'm not ready to reconnect with him yet, but I'm still wanting him to make dinner or bring dinner home or work overtime so he can pay for this trip. And I'm expecting him to do everything as normal, to be a gentleman and to make me feel safe. Because if he doesn't make me feel safe, then, you know, that's going to make me not want to sleep with him even more. I mean, well, why are you not sleeping with him now? Well, you know, I still feel safe with him, but I'm just upset with him. Okay, well, what did he do to make you mad? Well, he just said some things and, you know, it just made me feel a certain way. Did you talk to him about it? I went in there and went off on him and stormed out, and we really haven't talked about it since then. Do you think that maybe you should try to go back in there and say, hey, I'm really sorry for, you know, coming in here and blowing up on you like that. That wasn't right. I should have come in here and, you know, see if I can have a discussion with you. But essentially what happened was I feel like you said something. I don't even know if you meant it, but I feel like you said something that was, you know, really, really hurtful to me. And, you know, that just made me feel like I didn't want to be intimate with you. It made me feel like really weird about my body and just opening up in that way and being vulnerable and then allowing him to respond. That would have been the healthy way to do things. But like Lauren was saying, a lot of these women, they use that and they expect the man to keep on kind of providing, which is a weird deal. Or it's a really weird place for a man to be in.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm sure you guys are friends. You guys go to college. You're both attractive. I don't know if like younger guys, if they're approaching women as frequently as they used to years past because of social media, dating apps, social dating landscape, kind of sketchy a little bit. But I'm sure you guys have a lot of options, I would assume. So I think 90% of women, you know, what's that?
Clayson.
Huh? Okay. I think you basically would have just an abundance of options, but I'm sure you're rejecting probably a lot of guys, I'm assuming.
Oh, is that a question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I mean, I haven't really been here for that long. I haven't really gone to that many parties, but I would say, I think there's, I mean, I wouldn't say I would reject, like, there's been one.
That, like, guys aren't going up to us and being like, hey, like, let's hang out, or like, can I have your number? It's more so like,
they start like
just slowly lingering.
Yeah, like, ooh.
Because you're younger, rejecting them is just like kind of lingering the other way.
I feel like it used to be like way more prominent of like guys going up to girls and like being very blunt, but they realize that probably does not work. So gotta find other ways.
Well, I think there's a component of men don't have to approach in person now because of social media and because of dating apps. They have a different avenue. Like being rejected on a dating app is pretty much a nothing. Maybe for some guys it stings a little bit, but it's so far separated that it's like whatever.
Have you ever liked a girl so much that you've intentionally avoided her?
The answer to your question is
Yes. Yes, I have. And it's safe to say, so is pretty much every other guy on the planet. And it's not for the reason you might think it is. You see, the real reason is, more often than not, we already know you've already friend zoned us. And once we're in that friend zone, nothing we say, nothing we do, no matter how good we treat you or how good a guy we are, is ever, and I do mean ever, going to get us out of that friend zone. Which is why we start avoiding you. And it's why you start wondering, why is he avoiding me? And then a few weeks later, you'll go, where are all the good guys at? Why can't I find a good guy? And more often than not, you'll say it to him. And he's sitting there going, are you freaking kidding me? I'm right here. I'm literally sitting right in front of you. But for whatever reason, you can't see them. You see them as nothing more than friends, even though they're great guys. But guys know they ain't getting out of that friend zone, and you'll never initiate anything to take them out of that friend zone. So they start avoiding you because they have plenty of friends. They're looking for good, honest relationships. Something you've made very clear is not a possibility with you. So what's the sense of hanging out with you? As I've said many times before, men look at what's my return on investment for my effort. And if there's nothing to be gained, why bother?
Nothing pisses me off more than when a man that looks like the shit on the bottom of my shoe is like, hey, can I take you out? Now, I'm not going to say I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I know I ain't ugly.
And this is one of the reasons why women believe that men do not approach them anymore. Why men do not shoot their shot and ask women on dates anymore. You know you can reject a man without being rude, disrespectful, and harmful to somebody else's heart. You can sit there and tell someone respectfully, I'm not interested, but instead, you will do everything in your power to make that person feel as if they are insignificant. Just because somebody isn't attractive to you doesn't mean that they're not worthy of going after somebody. Although I don't believe this applies to all women, but there's women out there that speak on hating men, that men should leave them alone, that they should choose the bear over the man. So when a man chills out and he says, I don't want to deal with it anymore, y'all really be sitting over there wondering why men do not reach out to y'all. Men have to be vulnerable, men have to perform, men have to impress, and men have to chase/pursue just to see if a woman wants to give him an opportunity in the first place. And see, this is the thing. It's not that women don't want to be approached. It's that they want to be approached by the men that they want. But it doesn't work like that. And if you do want the man you want 100% of the time, then you're going to have to shoot your shot at the men that you want. But you're not going to do that because what if the man that you like doesn't like you back? You'll hear women say, oh, where's the guy who sets reservations, gets flowers, and picks me up on time? But there's plenty of men that would do that. But since you don't like them, you don't give them a chance. It's the fact that you want the man that doesn't like you or the man that you like to do that, but he doesn't. So since he doesn't do it, you say, oh man, men are not romantic. Men don't show love. Men don't do this. No, it's the fact that the men that you want are not willing to do it. But the men that are willing to do it, you won't even give them a chance. So to my ladies, if you do want a man to approach you, be approachable, be kind, whether you like the man or you don't like him and you reject him, that's cool. But you don't have to be disrespectful. Give yourself an opportunity for the right man to come into your life and treat you right instead of giving yourself to people who are going to take you for granted.
I'm going to ask you to culturally translate something and tell us what it means. Because it's become a flashpoint phrase, slogan, whatever, that I think a lot of people either misunderstand or willfully misconstrue. When I say the term believe all women.
Nah. I'm so glad you asked that because that, first of all, that phrase does not come from me or the Me Too movement.
Okay.
I do not subscribe to the phrase believe all women. That has been ascribed to me. I've never said it. I say believe survivors. As a Black woman, I would never, in America, I would never say believe all women. Ever. It's ridiculous. What we were saying in the beginning is believe survivors. The reason why we say believe survivors, and what that means is start from the premise that survivors are telling the truth. Because for years, when survivors came forward, we were not believed. And if you start with the premise that survivors are telling the truth, that means that you will investigate thoroughly, right? And you will give them the space that you give a person that you believe, right? That means that you will say, okay, if I believe you, then I'm going to take you seriously. I'm going to go through all the proper channels to make sure you get the resources that you need, that you get the investigation you need. We didn't get that. If you don't believe me, you're going to dismiss me. You're going to try to undermine my story. You're going to try to bury me, right? All of those things. That's what you do for a person you don't believe. So when people say believe survivors, it doesn't even mean diminish the other person and demonize the other person. It means take me seriously. Believe me and take me seriously. That's what survivors are looking for when they say believe me. Now, believe all women is ridiculous. As a Black woman in America, believing all women means that I believe Emmett Till's white lady, right? I believe all these white women that try to undermine Black men. I would never, ever say believe all women. It's racist. It's so fraught with it's so problematic. So you can't find me saying that anywhere, ever, in the history of me being a public figure.
That really is an interesting take. I think I do understand that. I understand, if somebody says, hey, this is something that happened to me, I just need somebody to kind of help me figure it out. Think people were tired of being dismissed when they said, hey, this happened to me. And then, somebody, oh, that didn't happen to you. Be quiet. I can see how that would hurt someone, right? But you have to also look at it from the other side. When you make a claim like that and it's serious, it's a huge claim. It's a very, very big claim. And the effects of it is, if you say a man did something and then the man didn't actually do it, who knows when, if ever, his name is going to be cleared, if he'll ever recover. We're talking about people that have spent time in jail. We're talking about people whose name and reputation has been crushed. Their businesses have been crushed because somebody said, hey, this person did this to me. And it was completely false. So it's such a big accusation that people are skeptical. Like, man, did that really happen? They might want to believe you, but it's like, man, that's crazy. Why would anybody do something so heinous? But you're right. People should at least seriously do some due diligence. If that was your son or your daughter that happened to, you would want somebody to thoroughly check it out. And you would, in a lot of cases, basically, I don't know if believing them is the answer, but I think maybe what you mean is, just take me seriously. Listen to my concerns. If my kid came up to me and they said, hey, this happened to me, then I would, man, go play. Well, it would depend on what it was, right? Go play. But then if they come up again and they say, hey, this happened, this is about that second or third time, then you're going to go check it out. I think what you're saying is, man, we've been telling people 2 and 3 times, so many things, but nobody really ever listens to us. We've been telling people for over years. We've been telling the cops, we've been telling authorities, any and everybody who will listen, we've been telling them, and they hadn't been listened to us. So I get how the frustration from that would overflow, and you would just start saying, man, just give us a chance. Believe survivors. Give us a fair shake. When we come to you, we're not joking. Like, we're not playing around. This is not because we want to get somebody thrown in jail. It's because we were violated. I can agree with that, right? But I think for men whose lives have been ruined or they've gotten in trouble, some guys have lost their job. So, going back to the point of men avoiding women at work because of #MeToo, or I should say, because it's not, basically what you're saying is it's not because of Me Too. So you can't really say because of Me Too, but Me Too adjacent, because it comes from the ideology of Me Too. Then men are saying, I don't want anything to do with that. A lot of men, people don't really understand, are very risk averse. They're very risk averse, right? Or they like to manage risks. I don't like to just go out there and just get in a fight. I might get knocked out and they stomp me out while I'm knocked out, and nobody, you looking at me like, oh, please get up, babe, but you're not helping me. You're not trying to stop them from stomping me. And I'm just getting stomped, possibly a brain injury. So men like to scan the situation and then they say, hey man, it doesn't look safe, I'll back up. So that's why a lot of these women are experiencing men in the workplace. If something looks wrong, a man would just stay away.
Would you say you hate men?
I hate the patriarchy. There's a lot of really good men.
Judd?
Answer the question.
Do I hate men? No.
That's a lie.
Another thing, y'all didn't hear this from me. They said that the reason why black men get with white women is because they share the same characteristics. And the characteristics was, because I did go to the comments, they said that y'all don't take accountability and y'all got that victim mentality and y'all pander to white men and y'all hate black women. But that's what they said, not me. Like, I didn't add nothing.
Honestly, it sounds like they're trying to talk about some other people and shift blame, but they really mean themselves. That's what that sounds like. Sounds like, some of them, whoever they are, wherever they are, they just want to say something, and they want to have somebody to take out their frustrations on. Is what that sounds like. But that's something that doesn't have to do with me at all. So I'm not really worried about that. But, kind of tell them whenever you see them again, whoever they are, maybe they should start taking accountability as well.
I am fascinated by how different men and women are. Like, when a girl's having a terrible day, there's a lot she has to do. She has to vent to someone for an hour, she has to cry about it, she has to exercise, she has to eat something that's comforting but won't bloat her. Men have to watch one motivational sports-related TikTok. And they're like, yeah, let's get the fuck back out there. My guy tries to always give me what he would need. Like, I'll be crying on the couch, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's cliche, but on my period, I think the dog is mad at me. And then he just starts hurling motivational Kobe Bryant quotes at me. I'm like, he's sitting there with a heating pad, and he's like, the second you give in is the second someone else wins.
This is exactly the type of woman I have been warning you about. Stay far, far away. Flesh and bone, she crawled out of the gutter and into my inbox with this masterpiece while following me at the same time. You cannot make this shit up. Here's what she sent me. You're chopped as hell, and you're thirsty as desperate for male attention and validation. Use some sunscreen or get some Botox. Do you even have any female friends? Because you're definitely not for the girls, stupid bitch. Damn, that is straight out of the Bitter Single Mom Handbook. Overly edited profile pictures, lips blown up like balloons, Botox leaking out of her forehead, and she's telling me to get Botox? The delusion is off the charts. This is projection in its purest form. Angry, jealous, miserable women who cannot stand to see another woman win. She is so full of rage, she has to unload it on a stranger online. Imagine how she'll treat you. Fellas, listen closely. This is the kind of woman who will slash your tires, set your clothes on fire, punch herself in the face, then call the cops and try to get you arrested for domestic abuse. She doesn't need love. She needs a damn exorcism. This is not a red flag. This is a biohazard warning. Stay clear or she will drag you straight to hell with her.
A lot of men are now leaving it up to women to ask for their phone number, pursue them, holler at them. And we're talking about men over 40, right? And it's crazy to me because literally a generation before them, those men were the hunters and, you know what I'm saying, pursuing women. And I'm confused because I don't know what the hell happened. Is it the Me Too movement that fucked this shit up? Or is it the feminist movement, which none I am a part of, okay? I didn't ask for this shit. I'm trying to figure out who dropped the fucking ball because now we got a whole bunch of men walking around here like they want to be the fucking women and we the fucking men. And it's tiring as fuck, honestly. You meet somebody and they really expect you to like hit them up. They don't do shit no more. And it's really sad that we have
these type of men now. But I don't know if it's our fault, not me personally, but women's fault as a whole, because we kind of made these motherfuckers like this. You know what I'm saying? Like scared to approach us, scared to say shit, scared to like even be intimate with you. Men are naturally meant to be the hunters, and women are the gatherers. Like women don't even have a mental capacity to chase men like how a man is supposed to with a woman. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even in our nature to do it. But it's like we're being pushed into that. And it's not a natural thing. I'm ready for this shit to end. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm asking hard questions here, like, what the fuck happened to these men out here? We need to go back to how it was, because I don't know how many of y'all sisters is built for this shit, but honestly, I'm fucking not. Okay? We need to put out a fucking PSA. We need to get on a bullhorn and be like, wait a minute. We want to go back to how it was 10 years ago. A bitch is tired. Okay, get on your shit. Send an email, nigga, cause we need this to be a national campaign against whatever the fuck happened. We need to go back to how it was, cause I ain't built for the shit. Let me know if you are.
Always ask me, what's the one woman you should stay away from? The woman who's mad all the time. Stay the hell away from women who are always mad. Find something to be mad about. I know this because I had a mother who was always mad about everything, picked at everything, nagged at everything, critiqued you on everything. Stay away from those women because, like I said, you will be the type of person that you'll start critiquing people, or you'll start even looking at yourself and going, damn, I'm not good enough. You know why? Because the women that pick at you, nag at you, they don't uplift, they don't encourage, they will never make a man a better man. They'll make a man a worse man. And when they see you progressing in life, what are they going to do? Tear you down, because that's all they do to themselves. Pay attention to the women who work out, take care of themselves, eat healthy, love themselves, love God. You know, I'm telling you right now, one thing that I always pay attention to is aura and good spirit. I don't care if you have tattoos or not. I don't care how you look. Are you at peace? Are you happy? Do you find positivity in every day? I'm telling you, babes, watch out for them rats, even the men too.
This is why men ignore women's signals. Because at some point in a man's life, he's picked up on signals that have been coming from a woman, and then he's acted on those signals, asking her out or whatever, and then he gets hit with the, oh no, I was just being nice. I'm not interested, I was just being nice. I'm just a nice person like that. That's just like who I am. Like, I'm just a nice person. Okay, but I thought those were signals, because you know, other girls, when they're being nice, they don't do all of that shit. In fact, when other girls do that shit, usually it's because they're interested, and now I've acted on that, and now I look like an idiot. So now, anytime I think that a woman's giving me signals, I'll just ignore it, because I don't want to go through that experience again. That was so embarrassing. Until a girl literally sits on my face. I'm not, sorry, I don't know why I use that as an example. That's what she does. I'm still like, maybe she's just being nice. I don't know where that came from. I'm so sorry. But like, it is true. I need a girl to really like grab my face and be like, I like you. I do see the signals. I just ignore them. I'm just like, she is acting differently from the other women, but it could be she's just friendly. She's just nice. I'm just a nice person. I'm just a good person like that. Fuck off! Other women need to call out those women. Those women are ruining it for you. Shame them out of that kind of behavior. Because now you give off signals and then men are ignoring you and like, oh, he's not interested. He might be interested. He just doesn't want to be embarrassed. That's not good for women either, is it? So, I don't know why my voice is so high. Like, I'm so animated and upset about this. It's really not that important.
I saw a Reddit post that went like kind of banger of this girl saying, I'm out here, I'm 25, I'm female, I'm trying to meet men, but I'm never getting approached. Is there a certain look or energy that I can give off that says I want to be approached? I'm not really into dating apps and I want to meet somebody in person. And she's asking how to do this. And now a man responds, unless a woman gives me an irrefutable sign that she wants my attention, I will never in a million years approach her, because nowadays we are taught that women want to be left alone and we are perceived as a nuisance at best and a threat at worst. And this does seem to be an ever-present trend that I'm witnessing online of young girls getting in their cars or filming a video, a story time about meeting a man where they say he is a nuisance or he disrespected her or that she's just so annoyed by the presence of men. And they get into the story, and it sounds a whole lot like anybody would approach anyone in trying to just start a friendly conversation, let alone a romantic conversation. And this seems to be a plague amongst men in our dating hellscape these days. Here is another headline. Almost half of young men have never approached a woman romantically. And this is particularly affecting men aged 18 to 25, have never ever, not once, approached a woman with a sort of romantic energy in mind. But we do know that there are women out there who want to be approached, and there are men out there who want to do the approaching. So how do we get these two to meet? I don't know. I'm actually going to have to rely on you guys in the comments down below to let me know what you can and cannot do.
You need to start treating dating like you are in HR, because there is absolutely a probation period. If you think men can slack off in the first 90 days and then magically become stellar employees when the performance review kicks in, absolutely not. Because if they can plan a date, they cannot communicate, they can't show up on time, and they just cannot function like an adult in the tryout phase, what makes you think they're going to become a 5-star stellar employee when the benefits kick in? If you're already missing deadlines, forgetting deliverables, not even meeting KPIs during your onboarding phase, I'm not renewing your contract. I'm not even sending you an exit interview, okay? I wish you well in hell and your future endeavors. Please get away from me.
Update 3. He refuses to talk to any women at work. Now we're the problem for wanting a normal coworker. What happened was Jake and Marcus were organizing this lunch outing to celebrate finishing a big project, and they invited everyone in our department. When they asked Dan if he wanted to join, he immediately said yes and started talking about how he'd been wanting to try that restaurant for months. But then when the conversation turned to logistics and Sarah mentioned she'd need to move some meetings around to make it work, Dan suddenly changed his tune and said he actually couldn't make it after all because he had other commitments. It was so obvious that he didn't want to go if women were going to be there, and honestly, it was humiliating for all of us. That same week, I watched Dan accept an invitation to grab drinks with the guys after work, joking around about how he needed to unwind after a stressful day. But when Megan casually mentioned that a group of us were planning to check out this new happy hour place and he should join us, he gave her this cold, "Thanks, but I have plans" response without even looking up from his computer. The double standard was so blatant and so insulting that I knew I couldn't keep pretending like this was normal or acceptable behavior. So I scheduled a meeting with HR and asked Megan and Sarah to come with me because I wanted them to share their experiences too. I spent the night before organizing all the documentation I'd been keeping, specific dates and incidents where Dan's differential treatment was most obvious, examples of how his behavior was affecting our work environment, and evidence that he was capable of normal social interaction but was choosing not to extend the courtesy to the women in our office. The HR meeting went exactly how I hoped it would. The representative, Lisa, took our complaint very seriously and asked detailed questions about Dan's behavior patterns. She seemed particularly concerned when we explained how Dan's selective socializing was creating an atmosphere where the women felt excluded and undervalued compared to our male colleagues. When I showed her my documentation of specific incidents, she said it was clear that we'd been experiencing something that needed to be investigated. Lisa explained that what we were describing could potentially constitute discrimination based on gender, and that creating different treatment standards for male and female employees was something the company took very seriously. She assured us that they would conduct a thorough investigation and interview other employees to get a complete picture of what was happening. I felt so validated hearing her say that our experiences were legitimate workplace concerns and not just us being overly sensitive, like I'd started to worry we might be. The best part was when Lisa told us that she'd be speaking with Dan directly about his behavior and making it clear that all employees needed to be treated with equal courtesy and respect, regardless of gender. She said that if the investigation confirmed our complaints, there would be consequences for Dan and requirements for him to change his behavior going forward. Finally, someone in authority was taking this situation seriously and recognizing that what we'd been dealing with wasn't acceptable. After the meeting, I felt this huge sense of relief and empowerment. For months, I'd been feeling frustrated and helpless about Dan's treatment of us, but now I'd taken concrete action to address the problem. Megan and Sarah were both grateful that I'd initiated the complaint process, and we all agreed that we'd done the right thing by speaking up instead of continuing to suffer in silence. I'll admit, part of me was looking forward to seeing how Dan would react when HR confronted him about his behavior. I figured he'd either have to apologize and start treating us with basic human decency, or he'd get defensive and reveal his true colors, which would only support our case. Either way, I was confident that the investigation would vindicate our complaints and force Dan to change his discriminatory behavior toward the women in our office. Everything started falling apart when HR called me back for what I thought was going to be a follow-up meeting to tell me about the consequences Dan was facing for his discriminatory behavior. Instead, I walked into that conference room and got hit with information that completely blindsided me and, honestly, made me question everything I thought I knew about the situation. Lisa started the meeting by explaining that they'd completed their investigation and had spoken with Dan about our complaints, but instead of telling me about his punishment or the behavior changes he'd be required to make, she started talking about his perspective on the situation and how he'd provided context for his workplace interactions. I was already getting a bad feeling about where this was heading, but nothing could have prepared me for what she told me next. Apparently, Dan had explained to HR that he maintained strict professional boundaries with female colleagues because of an incident at his previous job where casual friendships with women in the workplace led to harassment accusations against him. He told them that he'd been falsely accused by a female coworker who misinterpreted their friendly interactions as romantic interest, and that the situation had nearly cost him his career and reputation. So now, he followed what he called a professional courtesy-only policy with women at work to protect himself from similar misunderstandings. I was absolutely stunned. Lisa was sitting there explaining this like it somehow justified Dan's behavior, like his past experience gave him the right to treat all women in the workplace as potential threats who didn't deserve basic social interaction. I tried to explain that regardless of his reasons, his differential treatment was still creating a hostile work environment for us, but Lisa seemed more focused on his legal right to maintain professional boundaries than on how his behavior affected the women in our department. The worst part was when she told me that several of the male coworkers had come forward to support Dan during the investigation. Apparently, Jake, and Marcus, and even our supervisor, had all confirmed that Dan had shared his previous workplace experience with them and that they understood and supported his decision to keep things strictly professional with female colleagues. I felt completely betrayed. Here I thought these guys were our friends and coworkers, but when it came down to it, they sided with Dan and acted like his discriminatory behavior was perfectly reasonable. Then Lisa dropped the real bombshell. She said that during their investigation, several employees had expressed concern about the way me, Megan, and Sarah had been monitoring and discussing Dan's behavior. Apparently, people had noticed us watching him, timing our breaks to observe his interactions, and constantly talking about him among ourselves. Some coworkers had described our behavior as obsessive and uncomfortable, and a few people had actually complained that we were creating workplace drama and making them feel awkward about their own interactions with Dan. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Somehow, we'd gone from being the victims of discrimination to being accused of harassment ourselves.
And honestly, I feel like you're proving this point. I mean, if the man don't want to be bothered with you, figure out another way to do your job. Leave him alone. Oh, we went to HR on him. That's what he was worried about in the first place. This is kind of what I was talking about in another clip. The woman was talking about, well, as the founder of Me Too, that didn't come from me. When she was saying, believe all women, that statement, I never said that. I said, believe all survivors. Somebody else took it and they said, believe all women. I never said that. This is what that looks like when you have a man that maybe may or may not make a joke. There was another woman complaining. It was like, oh man, the men on the team, they all came up and, hugged me. And I guess it was just them welcoming me to the team. But I didn't want that. I don't know why they did that. I felt violated, yada, yada, yada. No, it's not really, to speak to your point, it's not really common that somebody would hug somebody at work. But if you have a whole team of men hugging you, I would have probably asked, how big is the company? How big is the team? Are you the only woman on the team? How do those guys interact? I know how you feel. I'm not discounting that, but you might be making it a bigger deal than what it actually is. You can just say, oh guys, or maybe, I don't know if my husband, you guys been okay. You guys better chill out. I don't know if my man would like that. Or you, like somebody said in the comments, you can just stick your hand out and present a handshake or fist bump, and they should get the hint. But automatically going to, these men are creeps, they're trying to violate my space, I feel unsafe, that sort of thing, and then pairing it with something like this, where a man might say something or do something that he didn't even know is a problem, and then y'all say, oh, well, why would you ever do that? Don't ever do that again, yada, yada, yada. And then you blow up on him. He backs up. He's like, oh, shoot, my bad. He's going to avoid. We're back to talking about risk. He's going to avoid. And he has the same pattern when he goes to approach women. If a woman chews him out for him just saying, hey, I really like your dress. It's pretty. Like to see if, maybe I can get your Instagram before you leave. It looks like you're about wrapped up here. I'd like to get your Instagram before you leave. I don't talk to no trolls and da-da-da this and that. You don't even look to be my type. Oh, shoot, my bad. Right? Let me avoid that. Let me make sure, because they were telling me to approach, let me make sure they're going to tell me, hey, it's all good for you to come over. Y'all going to be asking why men don't approach, why men don't stick around after work, why men don't want to go to happy hour, which is what you're asking right now. But you have to look at yourself and say, man, maybe I caused it. Maybe I have a little bit of responsibility in there. I have to take accountability. What would that look like? Me walking up to Dan and saying, hey, Dan, I think this might have gotten out of hand. Bars. I think this might have gotten out of hand. Listen, so let me be quite honest with you. There was something that you said, and I was like, whoa, whoa, what is that? And it made me feel uncomfortable, to be honest with you. It made me feel like this was, kind of like one of those work environments that I've been in or I've heard about where the men kind of try to put their hands on the women, or, you know, they keep on asking for the woman's attention, and the woman she keeps on saying, hey, no, I don't like you like that. I want a professional relationship. And when I hear jokes like that, or when I heard that, it triggered me. And so I was, you know, I'll be honest with you, I got concerned. And so I was like, oh, let me back off, and, or, you know, let me say whatever and whatnot. And I think that's where we got mixed up, right? I do want to work with you professionally. And, you know, I think that you're a great person. I can see, you know, you working with all of the other team members. And, you know, like I said, I do think that, you know, you could be a huge asset to me and helping me to grow and advance in my career. And I would hope, and I'm inviting you to use me as a resource to hopefully be a huge asset to you, maybe. But I think we got off on the wrong foot. Instead of, you know, documenting stuff and going to HR and things of that nature, that seems like that's a lot. That's a lot. And it's that behavior right there is why men avoid women in the workplace.